What happens when the ring general crosses the line that even Triple H won't tolerate? What happens when wrestling's most dominant champion allegedly takes things too far against the biggest star in the industry? The answer might shock you because according to reports, Gunther's brutal attack on John Cena may have cost him everything. Welcome to Suplex Rumble, where we break down the biggest stories in wrestling. Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive situations in recent memory. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this story has layers you won't believe. Let's talk about what allegedly went down, and why it sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. Picture this: John Cena, a living legend who's transcended the wrestling business to become a global superstar, steps back into the ring. He's on a farewell tour, cementing his legacy, giving back to the fans who made him an icon. It's supposed to be a celebration, a victory lap for one of the greatest to ever lace up boots. Then enters Gunther, the ring general, the intercontinental champion, who's redefined what it means to dominate a division. A man whose chops echo through arenas like thunder, whose matches feel more like legitimate fights than choreographed entertainment. Gunther has built his reputation on brutality, precision, and an uncompromising approach to his craft. But according to these reports, something went catastrophically wrong. During what was supposed to be a standard confrontation or match scenario, Gunther allegedly unleashed an attack on Cena that crossed every line imaginable. We're not talking about a worked beating that looks devastating, but is carefully controlled. Reports suggest this was something far more intense, something that had people backstage genuinely concerned about Cena's well-being. The details paint a disturbing picture: repeated strikes that weren't pulled, submission holds applied with full force, an assault that continued well past the point where any reasonable performer would have stopped, and most damning of all, alleged disregard for the safety protocols that keep performers safe night after night. In wrestling, there's a sacred trust between competitors. You make each other look good while keeping each other safe. It's a dance that requires precision, communication, and respect. When that trust is violated, especially involving someone of Cena's stature, and at this stage of his career, the consequences are severe. Now let's talk about the man who allegedly made the decision to fire Gunther, Triple H, the current head of creative operations and a wrestling legend himself. This is where the story gets really interesting, because Triple H firing Gunther isn't just a business decision, it's personal, it's political, and it's precedent-setting. First, consider Triple H's own background. He's not some corporate executive who never stepped in a ring. He's a 14-time world champion who knows exactly what it means to work stiff, to have intense matches, and to push boundaries. Triple H has been in brutal encounters throughout his career. He understands the difference between controlled aggression and reckless endangerment. For Triple H to reportedly make this call, the situation must have been absolutely undeniable. He would have reviewed footage, talked to officials, consulted with medical staff, and gotten statements from everyone involved. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, it was a calculated decision, based on overwhelming evidence. But there's more to this than just the incident itself. Triple H is building something specific with his creative vision. He's creating an environment where performers can tell incredible stories while maintaining the highest safety standards. He's trying to elevate the product while protecting the people who make it possible. Gunther's alleged actions threatened all of that. If Triple H lets this slide, what message does that send to the entire roster? That you can injure a legend without consequences? That rules don't apply if you're talented enough? That the company will protect its champions even when they cross ethical lines? Triple H couldn't let that precedent stand. By reportedly firing Gunther, he's making a statement that resonates throughout the industry: talent doesn't give you a free pass to endanger others. Championship status doesn't exempt you from basic professional standards. And nobody, not even the ring general himself, is bigger than the business. There's also the John Cena factor specifically. Cena isn't just any wrestler. He's a cultural icon who's brought mainstream attention to wrestling for 2 decades. He's a brand ambassador, a Hollywood star, and someone with relationships and commitments that extend far beyond wrestling. An injury to Cena doesn't just affect one show or one storyline, it could derail major film productions, charitable initiatives, and promotional campaigns. Triple H understands that protecting Cena isn't just about one man, it's about protecting the company's relationships, reputation, and future opportunities. When you put that in context, firing Gunther becomes not just justified, but absolutely necessary. Now, in fairness, let's examine this from Gunther's perspective, because there are always multiple sides to every story. Gunther has spent his entire career crafting a very specific persona. He's not a sports entertainer, he's a fighter. He's not there to make friends or win popularity contests. He's there to dominate, to prove his superiority, to be the most legitimate champion the division has seen in years. Everything about his presentation, from his entrance to his moveset to his post-match demeanor, reinforces this identity. When you live that character as intensely as Gunther does, the line between performer and persona can blur. Gunther has built his reputation on matches that feel uncomfortably real. His chops leave chest-sized welts. His suplexes look like they rearrange spines. His submission holds make grown men tap out in seconds. That's his brand, that's what makes him special. So here's the question, at what point does staying in character become a liability? At what point does commitment to your craft cross into dangerous territory? From Gunther's perspective, he may have believed he was simply doing what he's always done, being the ring general, being uncompromising, being the legitimate badass that fans have come to expect. He may not have seen himself as crossing a line, but rather as maintaining the intensity that made him a champion in the first place. There's also the possibility, and this is pure speculation, that emotions run high. John Cena represents everything that some traditional wrestling fans have complicated feelings about. He's the face of the company, the chosen one, the man who transcended wrestling to become something bigger. For a performer like Gunther, who prides himself on pure wrestling ability and legitimate toughness, there might have been underlying tension. None of this excuses the alleged behavior, but it provides context. Gunther isn't a villain in his own story, he's a wrestler who committed fully to his character and may have taken things a step too far in a high-pressure situation. The tragic irony is that Gunther's commitment to his craft, the very thing that made him special, may be exactly what cost him his position. Let's talk about what this means for the locker room, because the ripple effects of this reported firing extend far beyond Gunther and Cena. First, there's the immediate impact on morale and trust. If reports are accurate, the locker room would be divided. Some performers might view Triple H's decision as necessary and protective proof that management has their backs when things go wrong. Others might see it as an overreaction, a corporate decision that prioritizes star power over creative freedom. Veterans in the locker room, particularly those who've worked with Cena for years, would likely support the firing. They understand how rare and valuable someone like Cena is. They've seen careers end from preventable injuries. They know that protecting talent isn't about being soft, it's about preserving careers and livelihoods. Younger performers, especially those who admired Gunther's intense style, might have more conflicted feelings. Gunther represented a certain approach to wrestling, old school, hard-hitting, legitimate. His firing could be interpreted as the company moving further away from that style toward a more controlled, entertainment-focused product. There's also the championship situation to consider. If Gunther was fired while holding a title, that creates immediate storyline complications. Does the title get vacated? Is there a tournament? Does someone get an impromptu coronation? These logistical challenges add layers of difficulty to an already complex situation. From a creative standpoint, Gunther's absence leaves a massive void. He was positioned as the division's final boss, the ultimate challenge for any aspiring champion. His matches were often the highlight of major events. Replacing that level of presence and legitimacy isn't simple. The backstage atmosphere would also shift dramatically. There would be increased scrutiny on match layouts. Producers and agents would be extra vigilant about performer safety. Wrestlers might be more hesitant to work stiff or take risks, knowing that one incident could have career-ending consequences. And perhaps most significantly, this establishes a clear precedent. In Triple H's regime, nobody is untouchable. It doesn't matter how talented you are, however you are with fans, or how important you are to storylines. Cross the safety line, and there are consequences. That's a powerful message that will influence locker room behavior for years to come. Now let's zoom out and examine what this situation reveals about modern wrestling and the challenges of balancing authenticity with safety. Wrestling exists in this fascinating space between sport and theater. Fans want it to feel real, to suspend disbelief, to get lost in the drama and physicality. But everyone involved knows it's a performance, a highly dangerous performance, but a performance nonetheless. Managing that duality requires constant calibration. Gunther represented one extreme of that spectrum: maximum authenticity, intensity that feels genuinely uncomfortable, matches that make you question whether you're watching a work or a shoot. That approach resonates with a significant portion of the audience who wants wrestling to feel legitimate. But there's a reason wrestling evolved away from pure catch-as-catch-can competition towards sports entertainment. The business model requires performers to work multiple times per week, year-round, for decades-long careers. That's only sustainable if people aren't actually trying to hurt each other. Triple H, having lived through multiple eras of wrestling, understands this balance better than almost anyone. His reported decision to fire Gunther suggests he's willing to sacrifice some perceived authenticity to ensure long-term sustainability and safety. This also reflects broader industry trends. Wrestling companies are increasingly aware of concussion protocols, long-term health effects, and duty of care responsibilities. The days of encouraging reckless behavior are over. The business has matured, and with that maturation comes accountability. There's also the legal and insurance dimension. When a performer is allegedly injured due to another performer's recklessness, that opens the company to liability. Medical costs, legal fees, damaged relationships with insurance providers, these are real business concerns that executives must consider. John Cena, with his Hollywood career and mainstream profile, likely has contractual protections and insurance requirements that go beyond typical wrestler agreements. An injury to Cena could trigger financial consequences that extend into millions of dollars across multiple projects and partnerships. From that perspective, Triple H's decision becomes not just ethically right, but financially necessary. The cost of keeping Gunther, no matter how talented, becomes untenable when weighed against the potential cost of injuring Cena. So where do we go from here? What does the future hold for everyone involved in this situation? For Gunther, if these reports are accurate, he faces a career crossroads. Does he appeal the decision? Does he take responsibility and work toward redemption? Does he go to another promotion and continue his ring general persona? The wrestling world is vast, and talent of Gunther's caliber always has options, but this incident will follow him wherever he goes. For John Cena, assuming he recovers from any injuries sustained, this becomes another chapter in his legendary career, though not the chapter anyone wanted. His farewell tour continues, but with added security measures, and likely more cautious opponent selection. For Triple H, this decision cements his authority and establishes the culture he wants to build. It's a defining moment in his tenure as creative leader, one that will be referenced years from now when discussing his legacy beyond the ring. For the wrestling business as a whole, this serves as a stark reminder that the industry is evolving. The tolerance for reckless behavior continues to decrease. Performer safety isn't just a buzzword, it's a priority that companies will enforce, even at the cost of major talent. The fans, meanwhile, are left to process this complicated story. Some will view Triple H as a hero who protected a legend. Others will see him as overreacting to an incident that might have been accidental or exaggerated. Wrestling fans are nothing if not passionate in their opinions, and this situation provides plenty of fuel for debate. The reported firing of Gunther following his alleged brutal attack on John Cena represents a defining moment in modern wrestling. It's a story about respect, safety, accountability, and the difficult decisions that come with leadership. Whether you view Triple H's decision as justified or excessive, one thing is undeniable: this sends a clear message about the standards and expectations in today's wrestling environment. What's your take? Was Triple H right to reportedly fire Gunther, or did he overreact? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have a respectful discussion about this complex situation. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed to Suplex Rumble with the notification bell on. We bring you the most comprehensive analysis of wrestling's biggest stories. Until next time, this is Suplex Rumble reminding you, in wrestling, respect and safety always come first.